A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share together from Proverbs chapter 18, verses 6 to 8. As Solomon again warns us about our mouth. Jesus also warned us about our mouth. What defiles a man? It's not what he eats, but what comes out of his mouth that defiles a man, Jesus said. Because what comes out of the mouth comes from the heart. And you can know where a person is at if you listen to their words. For the wise person speaks with wisdom, and the fool speaks for trouble. And so Paul urged the Ephesians, let no unwholesome word proceed out of your mouth, but only such as is good for edifying. Speak truth with love. Much in Proverbs, then, is concerning the words that we speak. They've been the subject of the earlier part of this chapter. We had a man who seeks his own desire, he separates himself from others, and he rages against all wise judgment. He justifies himself. He says that others are fools. And there are many such commentators around today. And a fool has no delight in understanding. He's more concerned to express his own heart. That is, he gives his own opinion rather than searching out what is the whole truth of the matter. And then we had the wicked. When the wicked comes, contempt comes also. A wicked person will criticize others and demean them and say they are worthless and useless. Words that are destructive, words that are hurting. Jesus told us not to call a person a fool, but the wicked person has no such hesitation. He will express contempt and ridicule. He will dishonour a person and bring reproach against them. And so we had the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. A man can speak very nicely, but with a very deceptive plan behind the words. And we can't always see what the intention is when we hear the words. If we listen superficially, then we will get one message, and it may be good. But the words come from the heart, and the heart can't be seen. The motivation can't be seen. Nevertheless, a man who has wisdom is a man who will be transparent. There will be a consistency about the words. There will be a simplicity about the words. There will be life in those words. So the wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. It's moving, it's alive, it's shallow so that you can see the bottom and see that there's no deception in it. The waters are clear. So the wise man speaks with clarity. And verse 5, it's not good to show partiality to the wicked, or to overthrow the righteous in judgment. Again, concerning words, justifying the wicked and condemning the righteous. So, our verses for today. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. It is foolish to stir up trouble. It is foolish to argue so as to cause fighting. James asked the question, where do wars and contentions come from among people? They come from our own evil desires and from our hearts. We want to justify ourselves. We want to show ourselves right. If we can't do it with rational debate, then we will stir up trouble. We will get others onto our side. And so when we hear somebody speaking against somebody else, we can take them for their words and join in, or we can test their words. And often we will find that they do not represent the whole picture. There may be an element of truth, for the best lie is half true. But the fool will call for violence to solve a problem. And it is foolish because, as Jesus said, he who lives by the sword will die by the sword. So put your sword up. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. As Jesus said, it's not what goes into a man's mouth, but what comes out that makes him unclean. And when it comes to the day of judgment, although Jesus has a standard, he will not need to refer to his own standard. He can refer to what we have spoken with our own mouth, and then not done in our own life. A fool will boast of his righteousness to his own destruction, for he will not live by the words that he speaks. He will be a hypocrite, and his lips are the snare of his soul. Although you tell a very convincing lie, ultimately every lie shall be uncovered. Every falsehood shall be revealed, because God knows the truth, and the truth has a way of revealing itself. Somebody else knows, even if you try and kill all those who know the truth, yet the truth will appear sooner or later. And so a fool's mouth, he stirs up trouble, it will come back on him. That's one of the themes of the prayers in the Psalms, that those who have caused trouble to the Lord's servants, the Lord's servant doesn't fight back, but calls upon the Lord to vindicate them by bringing the condemnation of the enemy on themselves. The fool's mouth brings his own destruction. His lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down to the inmost body. So it is that when we hear a story about something, it's designed to titivate us, to stir us up, to stay in our mind. And when the story are the words of a talebearer, destroying somebody's reputation, then we like to hear that. We like to think that we are more righteous than somebody else, somebody who appears to be righteous. Now we know that their feet are clay, that they are not as righteous. We hang on to those things and we condemn them for it. Well, Jesus is the judge, and he will judge us as much as them. And people can tell tales about us just as about other people. The Lord knows the total truth, and it is before him that we will be justified or condemned. But those words about what others do, they go down into the inmost body. They affect our thinking about people. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to divide people. They're designed to make us think good of the talebearer and evil of the one of whom he is speaking. And if we're not careful, they colour our thinking about a person. But that misrepresents that person. God knows the truth about a person, and the talebearer emphasises certain things and glosses over other things, so that they paint a picture which may be very alluring to us. Our own evil desires respond to it, and we harbour it in our thinking. But it's all based on a lie, a misrepresentation of the truth. So be careful, little lips, what you speak. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles. They go down into the inmost body. A man will be judged by the words from his own mouth, for out of the heart the mouth speaks.